Jim Carrey, the funniest man alive. With his infectious smile and boundless energy, he has made us laugh until our sides hurt, turning every role he plays into a masterpiece of comedic brilliance. But behind that dazzling smile lies a story rarely told, a story of pain, loss, and the darkness that can exist even in the brightest of souls. Known for his iconic characters in films like Ace Ventura and The Truman Show, Carrey's laughter has often hidden the silent battles he's fought in his personal life. But the question remains, how does one of the world's most beloved comedians face such deep inner turmoil? Today, we take a closer look at the tragic smile of Jim Carrey. Join us in this journey as we uncover the man behind the mask. Hit that like button to honor his legacy, because what you're about to learn is more than just Hollywood fame. It's the truth of a man who faced his darkest demons, yet still managed to make us smile. Jim Carrey's story begins far from the spotlight, in a modest Canadian town, where laughter was often the only escape from the harsh realities of life. Born on January 17, 1962, in Newmarket, Ontario, Carrey came into the world not with silver spoons or celebrity connections, but with the same struggles and hardships that would define his early years. His father, Percy Carrey, worked as an accountant, while his mother, Kathleen, was a homemaker, always doing her best to hold the family together. But despite their hard work, the Carreys were far from wealthy. In fact, Jim's childhood was defined by financial instability. The Carrey family moved frequently, and at one point, they even had to live out of a van after their house was repossessed. Jim often found solace in his ability to make people laugh. At the young age of 8, he was already performing in front of his family, impersonating celebrities like John Wayne and Elvis Presley. The laughter he earned in those moments became a temporary refuge from the chaos surrounding him. But it wasn't just the family's financial troubles that weighed heavily on Jim's young shoulders. His father, though loving, struggled to find steady work, often leaving the family in a precarious position. Jim could see the stress it caused his parents, particularly his mother, who, despite being full of warmth and care, battled her own demons, including bouts of depression. It wasn't long before Jim realized that humor was his weapon, the thing that could lift the mood, bring joy, and even ease the tension at home. At school, Jim was the class clown. He would do anything to make his classmates laugh, whether it was mimicking teachers, doing impressions, or acting out scenes from his favorite movies. But beneath the laughter, there was a sense of isolation. Jim wasn't a typical child. He often felt like an outsider, someone who could make everyone laugh but couldn't quite fit in. The pressure to entertain only grew when Jim's family faced even greater challenges. As a teenager, he began to notice the weight of his family's struggles on his shoulders. He had a deep desire to escape and found that his humor was his ticket out. His dream was always to become a comedian, to perform on a grand stage, and to make it big. But how could a boy from such humble beginnings even dream of such a future? Jim's escape came in the form of stand-up comedy. At the age of 15, he began performing in local clubs, perfecting his craft and honing the skills that would later define his career. But it wasn't an easy road. He struggled with self-doubt, with the pressure of trying to prove himself, and with the ever-present fear of failure. However, there was something inside him, a relentless drive that pushed him forward. As he navigated through the challenges of his youth, Jim's biggest inspiration was his mother Kathleen, who, despite her own battles, always encouraged him to follow his passion. She would tell him that laughter was his gift to the world, and that no matter how difficult life got, he could always make a difference through humor. Her support kept him grounded and gave him the courage to continue chasing his dreams, even when the world seemed against him. But no one, not even Jim himself, could have predicted the magnitude of the emotional battles that lay ahead. While his childhood may have been defined by struggle, it also sowed the seeds for a career that would later make him one of the most famous comedians in the world. However, despite his success, the shadow of the pain and insecurity from his early years would never truly leave him. In those formative years, Jim Carrey's childhood shaped not just his career, but his identity. It was the fuel for his fire, the spark that lit the path toward his future. But the journey was far from over, and as he would soon discover, the laughter he so skillfully provided to others was often the only thing that could mask the darkness he was struggling to contain within himself. Jim Carrey's path to stardom wasn't paved with instant success or smooth sailing. It was, in fact, a long and often painful journey filled with rejection, self-doubt, and relentless perseverance. But it was also one of transformation, where the boy who once dreamed of escaping his struggles would eventually find the platform to turn his pain into performance. At 16, Carrey left high school, choosing to pursue his comedy career full-time. While most teenagers were figuring out what to do with their lives, Jim was already performing at comedy clubs in Toronto. The hustle wasn't easy. Carrey would perform stand-up at local clubs for small crowds, and at times, the audience wasn't even kind. But his drive was unyielding, and every night on stage was a new chance to hone his craft. For years, Jim performed in relative obscurity, spending countless nights trying to make it big. He had one clear goal: to be recognized by Hollywood. But that dream seemed distant, even as he grew into a standout performer. There were moments of doubt, when the laughter wasn't enough to pay the bills, when he questioned if he was truly meant for the spotlight. But Jim Carrey had a unique ability. He could make people laugh with a level of intensity and authenticity that few others could match. His physical comedy, often exaggerated to the point of absurdity, became a trademark of his performances, captivating audiences and leaving them in stitches. It wasn't until he moved to Los Angeles that his fortunes began to change. He landed a role on the popular sketch comedy show In Living Color in 1990, which became the game changer for his career. The show, created by Keenan Ivory Wayans, was a launchpad for many African-American comedians, but it also gave Carrey the chance to showcase his outrageous talent. It was there that he became known for his over-the-top characters and wild antics, performing sketches that pushed the boundaries of comedy. The turning point came when Carrey, already a star on In Living Color, got the opportunity to audition for major film roles. His first big break came with Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, 1994, a role that would change the course of his life forever. Playing the eccentric, wild pet detective, Carrey's unique brand of humor broke all the rules, and audiences loved it. His comedic timing, his expressive facial gestures, and his energetic physicality were unlike anything anyone had seen before. The film was a massive hit, earning over $107 million at the box office, and Carrey's career skyrocketed overnight. But success came at a cost. With fame came the pressure to deliver. Carrey was no longer just a comedian. He was a box office draw. His next films, The Mask and Dumb and Dumber, both in 1994, further cemented his status as a comedy legend. These films, though wildly different in tone, showed Carrey's versatility. In The Mask, he played a mild-mannered man who transforms into a zany, green-faced hero, while in Dumb and Dumber, he portrayed one half of a duo of lovable idiots. Both roles were classic Carrey, larger than life, outrageous, and hilariously absurd. As Carrey's career flourished, so did his popularity. He was no longer just a comedian. He was a global sensation. He was everywhere, on TV, in movies, and even in the tabloids. But while his career was soaring, Jim was facing a growing internal struggle. He often felt overwhelmed by the expectations placed on him, as though he was expected to be funny all the time, to live up to the image that audiences adored. The pressure to maintain his manic, high-energy persona began to take its toll. Despite his rising fame, Jim Carrey was still the same person he had been before all the stardom. He had the same insecurities, the same fears, and the same internal battles that had plagued him in his younger years. But now, he had the means to escape, both into his characters and into his success. His personal life, however, was not as perfect as the characters he portrayed. He struggled with finding true happiness, as he felt an increasing emptiness despite his fame. It was a paradox that he couldn't shake. How could someone who made millions laugh be so deeply unhappy? Carrey continued to push forward in his career, taking on roles that would challenge him creatively. His portrayal of the Grinch in How the Grinch Stole Christmas, 2000, and his heart-wrenching performance in The Truman Show, 1998, marked a departure from his slapstick comedy and showcased his ability to convey deep emotional complexity. These roles revealed a different side of Carrey, one that was capable of showing vulnerability and depth. The Truman Show, in particular, was a turning point in his career, earning him a Golden Globe and solidifying his place as one of Hollywood's most versatile actors. Despite his increasing success and acclaim, Carrey's personal life remained tumultuous. He would later reflect on the emotional toll of fame, admitting that despite achieving everything he had ever dreamed of, something was still missing. It was during this time that he began to turn inward, seeking a deeper understanding of himself and the world around him. But this search for meaning would soon take him down a path that not many people would understand. Carrey's journey to stardom was not only marked by his extraordinary comedic talent, but also by his ability to evolve as an artist. His early years of struggle laid the foundation for the man who would go on to redefine comedy in Hollywood. Yet, even at the height of his career, Jim Carrey was still haunted by the same insecurities and feelings of inadequacy that had followed him throughout his life. By the mid-1990s, Jim Carrey was no longer just a comedian. He was a global phenomenon. His rise to superstardom had been nothing short of meteoric, and with it came unparalleled fame and a string of box office hits that cemented his place in cinematic history. Carrey's brand of humor was unorthodox, fearless, and often absurd, but it resonated with millions of people around the world. He was the man who could make you laugh until you cried. But behind his outlandish performances, there was a deeper complexity that audiences would soon begin to recognize. His first major breakthrough, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, was the perfect introduction to the world of Jim Carrey. The film was an explosion of energy and eccentricity, a wild ride filled with Carrey's manic physicality and offbeat humor. Despite initial skepticism from critics, the film was a runaway success, grossing over $107 million globally, a massive sum for a comedy at the time. Carrey's unforgettable portrayal of the quirky pet detective catapulted him into the spotlight, earning him a reputation as one of Hollywood's most unique comedic talents. Yet, this was just the beginning. In the same year, Carrey released two more films that would further solidify his comedic genius: The Mask and Dumb and Dumber. Both films were commercial successes, with The Mask grossing $351 million worldwide and Dumb and Dumber earning over $250 million. What set Carrey apart in these films was his ability to blend physical comedy with sharp, witty dialogue, creating characters that were both absurd and endearing. The Mask allowed Carrey to showcase his versatility as an actor, playing the mild-mannered Stanley Ipkiss, who transforms into a zany, green-faced alter ego with boundless energy. In Dumb and Dumber, Carrey portrayed Lloyd Christmas, a lovable idiot whose absurd antics and deadpan delivery became an iconic part of comedy history. By now, Carrey had become a household name, but his journey was far from over. He was no longer just a comedian with a knack for slapstick humor. He was evolving into an actor capable of deep emotional resonance. Carrey's next major role, The Truman Show, 1998, marked a turning point in his career, one that showcased his depth and range as an actor. Directed by Peter Weir, the film told the story of Truman Burbank, a man whose entire life is secretly broadcast to the world as a reality TV show. In a role that required subtlety and nuance, Carrey was nothing short of spectacular, delivering a performance that was both heart-wrenching and thought-provoking. The Truman Show was a critical and commercial success, earning Carrey a Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama. For many, this was the moment that proved Carrey's true talent extended far beyond the realm of comedy. His portrayal of Truman Burbank, a man struggling to break free from the confines of a fabricated reality, resonated with audiences on a deeper level, exploring themes of personal freedom, self-awareness, and the meaning of life. The film was also prescient in its exploration of media manipulation, making Carrey's performance all the more poignant in the years that followed. Despite the critical success of The Truman Show, Carrey's next project, Man on the Moon, 1999, would further showcase his versatility and ability to tackle complex, emotionally charged roles. In this biographical film, Carrey portrayed the late comedian Andy Kaufman, a man whose surreal brand of humor and chaotic personal life made him one of the most enigmatic figures in the world of comedy. Carrey's commitment to the role was unparalleled. He immersed himself fully in the character, adopting Kaufman's eccentric behavior even off-screen, to the point where it became difficult to tell where Carrey ended and Kaufman began. The performance was mesmerizing, and Carrey received widespread acclaim for his portrayal of the unpredictable comedian. However, Carrey's journey into more serious roles wasn't without its challenges. His transition from comedic roles to dramatic ones wasn't always smooth, and the pressure to constantly reinvent himself weighed heavily on him. But as he ventured further into uncharted territory, Carrey continued to prove that his range as an actor knew no bounds. His work in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, 2004, where he played the emotionally complex Joel Barish, a man who undergoes a procedure to erase his memories of a failed relationship, was another testament to his depth as an actor. The film, directed by Michel Gondry, allowed Carrey to showcase a vulnerability that had never before been seen in his performances. The film became a critical darling, earning Carrey another Golden Globe nomination and solidifying his status as one of the most versatile actors of his generation. Beyond the accolades and critical acclaim, Jim Carrey's influence as a comedian and actor was undeniable. His ability to blend absurdity with heart, to make audiences laugh while also making them think, set him apart from his peers. He had carved out a niche for himself in Hollywood, becoming not only a comedic icon, but also a respected actor, capable of delivering performances with depth and substance. But with all the success came a hidden burden. The fame, the laughter, and the adoration of fans all mask the ongoing personal struggles Carrey was facing. Beneath the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, the smile that seemed to never fade was often hiding the deep pain and isolation he felt. While his career soared to unimaginable heights, the emotional toll of constant public scrutiny, self-imposed expectations, and personal loss began to chip away at the man behind the mask. As Carrey basked in the glory of his achievements, the world continued to watch with bated breath, eager to see what he would do next. But even as he ascended to the pinnacle of his career, Jim Carrey was still grappling with something much darker, something that not even his comedic genius could easily escape. As Jim Carrey's career reached the pinnacle of success, the smile that had defined him for so long began to fade, revealing the deep turmoil he had long kept hidden. Despite being one of the most celebrated comedians in the world, Carrey was far from invincible. The very fame and success he had worked so hard to achieve became the source of his greatest personal struggles. Beneath the surface of his larger-than-life persona, Carrey was battling with depression, a sense of emptiness, and the devastating effects of personal loss. For much of his career, Carrey had used humor as a defense mechanism, a way to escape the pain of his inner world. He once described his comedy as a desperate attempt to be seen and loved, a reflection of his deep-seated insecurities. His early life had been marked by financial struggles, familial instability, and a constant need for validation. Even as he gained worldwide recognition for his comedic genius, these unresolved feelings lingered, eventually manifesting in ways that would shake him to his core. In the late 1990s, as Carrey's career soared, his personal life began to unravel. The constant pressure to perform, coupled with his battle with depression, led him into a dark period of self-doubt. Despite having the world at his feet, Carrey found himself questioning the very nature of happiness and success. He had achieved everything he had ever dreamed of, yet he still felt hollow inside. "I've been to the top of the mountain and looked down, and it's not what I thought it would be," he said in one of his more candid moments. This sense of disillusionment was compounded by a series of personal tragedies, which left Carrey grappling with a sense of loss that was impossible to ignore. One of the most significant turning points in Carrey's life was his publicized relationship with actress Lauren Holly. The couple met while filming Dumb and Dumber, and their whirlwind romance was the subject of much media attention. However, their marriage ended in divorce after just 1 year. The breakup left Carrey heartbroken and deeply disillusioned. For the first time, he found himself confronted with the raw reality that love and success were not enough to fill the emptiness inside him. The pain of the failed marriage, combined with his growing sense of existential doubt, led Carrey to retreat even further into himself. The year following his divorce was one of the darkest for Carrey. He struggled with depression, isolating himself from friends, family, and the public eye. He sought solace in his work, throwing himself into roles that demanded emotional depth. While many of these performances, like his role in The Truman Show, were lauded for their brilliance, Carrey was quietly battling an inner darkness that threatened to consume him. During this time, Carrey also experienced the devastating loss of his father, Percy Carrey, who passed away in 1994. Jim had always been close to his father, and his death left an indelible mark on him. It was a loss that Carrey struggled to process, as it brought to the forefront many of the unresolved feelings from his childhood. His father had been a source of both support and disappointment for Jim, and his passing left a void that Carrey would never truly fill. In the years that followed, Carrey's mental health continued to deteriorate. He sought therapy and took medication to help cope with the overwhelming sadness that had taken root in his life. But despite his efforts, the depression seemed to follow him wherever he went. He began to question his purpose, wondering if his success was truly fulfilling or just a distraction from the pain he had never addressed. This struggle became more pronounced when Carrey decided to take a break from his career to focus on his mental health. During this period of reflection, Carrey turned inward, seeking to understand the deeper meaning of life. He delved into spirituality, exploring ideas of self-actualization and the pursuit of inner peace. It was during this time that Carrey began to realize that his constant need for external validation, whether through fame, wealth, or adoration, was ultimately futile. He began to explore the idea that true happiness could not be found through external achievements, but rather through inner peace and self-acceptance. This period of self-reflection led Carrey to a profound realization. He had spent most of his life trying to be someone he wasn't, trying to live up to an image that was not true to his authentic self. He had spent years hiding behind his comedic mask, afraid to face the darkness within. And it was only by confronting this darkness head-on that he could begin to heal. In 2004, Carrey gave an interview in which he openly discussed his struggle with depression. He spoke candidly about how his fame and success had only masked the pain he was feeling. "I used to think that I could escape my sadness by making people laugh," he said. "But the truth is, you can't escape your pain by running from it." This honesty was a departure from the public image he had maintained for years, and it marked a significant moment in his personal journey toward healing. Despite the challenges he faced, Carrey slowly began to find a sense of peace. He became more involved in philanthropic work, dedicating his time and energy to causes that were important to him. His passion for painting and writing also provided an outlet for his emotions, allowing him to express himself in ways that went beyond comedy. Carrey's art became a form of therapy, a way for him to explore his inner world and process the pain he had experienced. As Carrey continued to explore his own spirituality, he became more open about his personal struggles. In interviews and public appearances, he spoke openly about his battle with depression, sharing his experiences in the hopes of helping others who were struggling with similar issues. He became a vocal advocate for mental health awareness, encouraging others to seek help and confront their own inner demons. In a 2017 interview, Carrey stated, "Depression is a feeling. It's not a state of being. It doesn't define you. but it's also not something you can pretend away. Despite the pain he had endured, Carrey's journey was one of resilience. His story was not just one of triumph, but also one of vulnerability. Through his struggles, he learned that it was okay to not be okay, and that true healing could only come through embracing the pain. His journey from the depths of despair to a place of peace was a testament to his strength, showing the world that even the funniest man alive could face his darkest demons and emerge stronger on the other side. Jim Carrey's life and career have been defined by both extraordinary success and heartbreaking tragedy. The public's perception of him as a light-hearted comedian was in stark contrast to the private battles he faced, making his journey all the more poignant. In the end, Carrey's story is a powerful reminder that behind every smile, there may be a struggle, and it's only by confronting our darkest moments that we can truly find the light. As Jim Carrey continues to navigate the complexities of life, his journey remains one of profound introspection and transformation. While the world knows him as a legendary actor and comedian, Carrey has shifted his focus in recent years to something far more personal, finding peace and meaning beyond the fame that once defined him. Though Carrey is very much alive, his journey towards healing has been a testament to the fragility of even the most successful lives. In recent interviews, Carrey has spoken candidly about his struggle to reconcile his immense fame with his internal battles. While many fans have celebrated his comedic achievements, Carrey has increasingly spoken about the emptiness that fame could not fill. His realization, perhaps most clearly articulated in a 2017 interview, was stark. "I used to believe that fame would fill me up, and I spent so many years chasing it. But I've learned that it's not what you get, but who you become that matters." As the years passed, Carrey's focus shifted away from his film career and toward a life of spiritual exploration and self-actualization. He became a vocal advocate for mental health, using his public platform to break the silence surrounding depression and emotional struggles. Jim Carrey's openness about his battles with mental health created a ripple effect, encouraging others to confront their own demons with courage and honesty. His transparency about his pain was not just a source of relief for him, but also for the millions of fans who had idolized him. In a way, his vulnerability became as significant as his comedic talent, serving as a reminder that even those who make the world laugh have moments of deep sadness. Though he has distanced himself from the Hollywood machine, Carrey's influence remains ever present. His work in films such as The Truman Show, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and Man on the Moon continues to resonate with audiences for its depth and complexity. These films remain landmarks in his career, each showcasing his ability to blend humor and vulnerability in a way that few others can. Carrey's roles have inspired generations of actors and comedians, encouraging them to explore the deeper aspects of human emotion and the power of storytelling. His personal growth and reflections on life offer a powerful message to the world. The journey to true happiness and fulfillment is not one of external success, but of inner peace and authenticity. As Carrey said in an interview, "I think that everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so they can see that it's not the answer." Jim Carrey's legacy is multifaceted. He will forever be remembered for his groundbreaking work in comedy, but his journey through pain, self-discovery, and healing is equally significant. He has shown the world that even the brightest of stars are not immune to darkness, and that embracing vulnerability and seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. As Carey continues to evolve, his story remains a powerful reminder that our greatest challenges can lead to our most profound growth. While Jim Carrey may have once been known solely for his ability to make people laugh, his true legacy will be the courage he found to face his inner demons and the wisdom he imparted to others along the way. In a world that often values surface-level success, Jim Carrey's journey is a testament to the importance of looking within, confronting the darkness, and emerging stronger, wiser, and more authentic. Jim Carrey's life is a paradox. The world's funniest man, who has brought joy to millions, also carried the weight of immense personal pain. His smile, so iconic and beloved, hid the tears of a man who struggled with depression, loss, and the question of what it truly means to be fulfilled. Through it all, Carrey has never been afraid to show the world his vulnerability. He has turned his pain into a source of strength, a beacon for others who face similar struggles. Carrey's journey to self-realization reminds us that even the most successful people can feel lost, and even those who seem to have everything are often fighting battles that are invisible to the world. His story serves as a poignant reminder that laughter may not always be the cure for sadness, and that seeking help, confronting our inner demons, and embracing vulnerability are essential steps toward true healing. Jim Carrey's legacy will live on in the hearts of those who found solace in his films, who laughed through his antics, and who learned from his example of courage and authenticity. The man who once made the world laugh now offers us a deeper truth, that the real work is not in the pursuit of fame or wealth, but in the pursuit of self-understanding and inner peace. As we reflect on his incredible career and the lessons he's taught us, let's remember that no matter how dark life may seem, there is always a path toward the light. And for Jim Carrey, that path has not only been about laughter, but also about finding meaning, embracing vulnerability, and sharing that message with the world. His tragic smile will forever remind us that even in the darkest moments, there is hope, and there is always a chance for redemption.